Okay, so here's the 2017 KTM 500EXC ultralight adventure bike built by Sur Ron ADV. As you can see here, the biggest change on this bike is going to be this Nomad, what they call an adventure tower, but it's basically a rally tower with a KTM 500RR rally fairing. You get a lot more lighting out of this. You get a lot of wind protection here. This fairing is awesome on the road. It really cuts the wind with very little buffeting, works both sitting down and standing up. You'll also notice that this allows you to have auxiliary power. This bike in particular, right here, this switch actually turns both lights on at the same time. This one is for the power cradle for the GPS that holds a Garmin 610 or 680 GPS. There we go, charging! This one is not powered to anything right now, but it should be for heated grips in the future. These middle two are turned on by a relay which kicks on underneath the seat. It's actually tied to the tail light. Whenever the tail light comes on, there's a relay mounted underneath the seat right here that kicks on that power circuit. The final switch over on the right hand side there, this one actually has separate wiring that comes up, and this one's hot all the time, and it powers this little voltage meter right here slash double USB port socket right here. So it's fully waterproof, has a voltage meter, and this way you can turn this on whenever you need to in order to power your devices. But you also have a voltmeter here so that you know that you're not getting too low, like you're down to like 11.5. You should probably kill this thing, start the bike, get the battery charged back up. This Nomad tower is incredibly sturdy. I would bet that you could literally lift the front of the bike up from the tower and potentially even hang the bike off that tower. It is so incredibly strong. It has these two giant frame pass-through bolts that go right through the frame, and then it's got another mount on the other side, and then it has all these little braces here that make the thing incredibly rigid. As you can see here, it utilizes the factory KTM 500EXC dash, so you still have your high beam light, your low fuel light, which still works with the IMS tank. You've got your turn signal indicators right here on this one, and you have an opportunity to put something else right here. Let's see the high beam indicator and turn signal indicator. There you go. That's cool. There's the high beam indicator. Still working. Everything's good. Here we go. Cool. This particular kit is using the factory KTM key. Which I like a lot, because another thing that's really cool about this bike is that it still has the steering lock, which works because it's using this key. Boom, there we go. So locked steering, good to have in places that you may not be so sure about the company. Boom, easy breezy. This particular Nomad tower has the Vision X Duralights. These are roughly around 6,000 lumens. And like I said, if you use this switch over here, they can be operated independently, leveraging the factory low beam switch on the handlebars. Or if you flick that switch down, when you use high beam, both beams will be on. So you have plenty of light, plenty of wind cutting, and a lot more. You have a very sturdy point for your GPS. You have power. You have powered accessory switches here that are fully waterproof. And on top of that, the positioning of the GPS is in a really good spot compared to some of the other mounts, which are really far down. So you can very easily keep your eyes on the road while looking at GPS. Some other great features about this bike is the Mosko Moto Reckless 40 luggage system. This one's actually the Reckless 54, if I'm doing my math right. It's the Reckless 40 that has the Stinger 8 bag that goes in this beaver tail but it also has a Stinger 22. So you can swap that Stinger 8 out for the Stinger 22 like this and have a lot more waterproof luggage carrying capacity. Pretty darn cool. It's pretty easy to get on and off the bike. You're just gonna want to stand on the left foot peg like you would on any other bigger adventure bike and throw your leg over. The Mosko system is incredibly durable. It mounts with just 4 straps. 1, 2, 3, 4. So you can very easily convert this bike back to, you know, a quote-unquote enduro bike without too much work. The other really cool thing to note is that this whole fairing and windshield here comes off with 6 bolts. 1, 2, 3, 4, and there's 1 on each side attached to the kind of the radiator supports. So you can really take all of this stuff off pretty darn easily and all that luggage off and have something that's pretty darn close to just a straight enduro bike again, and be able to ride it in a little bit tighter territory without damaging your windscreen. At the end of the day, the windscreen is incredibly durable. You don't really have to worry about it too much anyway, but it's pretty darn good. What else is cool? All right, so there's some performance upgrades on the bike. There's an FMF 4.1 RCT titanium pipe, which also shaves off about 1 pound. It's got the IMS 4.25 gallon tank. In order to get the IMS 4.25 gallon tank on there, you have to use the KTM factory right angle petcock system here. This one flows a lot more fuel than the stock one, and it actually comes way straighter into the injector inlet, which is really nice. Behind the airbox shroud, you will find a brand new air filter. There's also 3 extra air filters that will come with the bike. Also behind this shroud, you will find the JD Power Tuner, which will allow you to adjust your fuel settings. And it also has a little sticker on there that shows what fuel settings the bike comes at today. I don't see actually needing to change the settings at all. The bike runs perfect right now. So, but you can adjust them if you want to. The bike has been smog eliminated, so there's no charcoal canister in the frame back there. It has to be smog eliminated to put the Nomad Tower on here, because the Nomad Tower, the lower frame bolt down there, see if I'm getting this, the lower frame bolt down there goes through where the charcoal canister is. So the other thing that you can see right over here is that there is a SAE battery connection here, which is good for 2 things. It's good for trickle charging the lithium ion battery as long as you have a lithium ion trickle charger, but it's also really good for using one of these jump packs like so. One of these jump packs with an SAE converter plug can go right into that connection. So you can use that as your auxiliary battery for your phones, GPSs, that sort of thing. It's also got a de-reeded Euro intake tube. Has no reeds in it, so it screams a little bit better. Performance-wise, the bike feels amazing. It starts up right away. It's super easy. You can check out that other video we have about how much better the bike rides with those performance upgrades. Aesthetics-wise, well, actually, let's get into the suspension and controls. So the bike has the Scott steering stabilizer and BRP rubber-mounted handlebars, which also serves as a bar rise. So this buys you about 1.5 inches of bar rise. The Scott steering stabilizer, if you've never ridden a bike with one of those, it is night and day. You can very easily, by clicking this knob, kind of change how much resistance you want on the handlebars, and it makes the bike just track so much straighter, especially on fast, long stuff where you might get a little bit of sway. This thing tracks perfectly straight. The suspension is completely redone by Enduro spec. It's been resprung, revalved, and the thing just basically stays totally planted to the ground and feels great. Up front too, we've also got the sick-ass hand guards with aluminum backing with the turn signals built right into the hand guards, which is really cool. There's also an adventure double take adventure mirror right here, so that you can just fold this away when you want to keep it safe and sound out of harm's way. We've got the ODI Super Plush soft compound grips with a little factory KTM donut. We got Fastway Evo Air foot pegs right here. These pegs are way lighter than stock and also drop the position of the peg about a ½ an inch down, which helps you stay a bit more comfortable between that and the bar rise that comes from the BRP Scott's mount. Helps you feel way more comfortable when you're riding standing up for long periods of time. We've also got the little Tusk brake tip there, which is really nice. It's got a lot more grip than the factory one. We've got the best dual sport bikes, big oily clutch cover here. This is as you can see, it's got this big node at the bottom. It allows for roughly 200 to 250 cc more of oil, which on these bikes is really helpful for adventure riding because the more oil you'll have, the longer the life of the oil, and the longer you can go in between oil changes. From my research, this bike should be good for roughly around 1,000 to 1,200 miles. So any BDR in the country you can be able to do without having to do an oil change. So that's great. We've also got some protection items here. We got an Cherubies skid plate here, which has a lot of good protection. It's super easy to go on and off one screw, so when you need to do an oil change, you just pull that one Allen. We've got this Tusk rear disc brake rotor guard, which is really trick looking and very good at protecting the bike. The sick ass tail tidy kit gets rid of that gigantic hanging down license plate mount and puts these kind of trick little LED turn signals that are way harder to get beat up. So between the luggage and the extended tank and all like that, the likelihood that you rip a rear turn signal off is very, very low. We've got the swing arm guards, the factory KTM swing arm guards on right here that help protect the swing arm from getting beat up. The IMS tank actually wraps around the side of the radiators, as you can see here. The tank goes all the way around. That and the combination of the KTM reinforced louvers, you actually really don't need too much radiator protection and you feel pretty good about your radiators being just fine in a crash. There's also the Seat Concepts comfort seat here. It's the gripper top with a carbon fiber side and orange stitching. This is exponentially better than the stock seat. Way better for when you need to sit down on those longer rides. There's a temperature gauge radiator cap here, so you can make sure the bike is running at great temperature. Works fantastic. Super simple. The factory KTM 500EXC does come with an automatic fan that kicks on when the bike gets too hot, so you don't have to worry about this thing overheating. Okay, so let's get into some more of the kind of nitty-gritty features of the tower itself. One of the things that we did here at Source ADV was make it so that you could remove this Garmin GPS powered cradle pretty easily. So it just has a quick disconnect that pops off right here on the side, and then all you gotta do is unscrew this little guy like this, and then you can pull that whole unit off. And just especially when you're doing enduro riding, you can pull that whole unit off. This guy is right there, and then there's a custom made cap that goes on this little electrical connection that keeps it nice and safe. So when you're not using that GPS powered cradle, there's just this little custom cap that goes right on here, slides on, fully waterproof seal, and keeps that connection safe and sound. It's got Dirt Tricks zirconium rear sprocket, Dirt Tricks or primary drive X-ring chain. It's got this little Dirt Tricks washer here on the countershaft sprocket, Dirt Tricks front sprocket, just way better sprockets than the factory, and also way better gearing for slower speed crawls when you need to do it, but the thing still is totally happy around 65 miles an hour. The bike features Tusk D-Sport adventure tires. They're kind of in between double 606s and Pirelli adventure tires. They seem great. The compound feels like that perfect middle ground between hard and soft, and expect to get a lot of great miles out of them. So let's go ahead and start up the bike, and you can kind of see some of the functionality of the headlights and the tower and all like that. So let's go ahead and do that. The headlight came on, the high beam's on right there. That's the low beam. You can change it over to high beam from the switch on the handlebars, and then if you want to run both lights at once, all you got to do is flick that switch. A lot of people just choose to leave that down all the time. At the end of the day, these two lights actually have less draw than the factory headlights. You don't have to worry about that at all. This switch right here is the one that powers the powered cradle for the the Garmin GPS. And then this one is that USB socket. So now you can see the tail light and the license plate light. So I'll show you what those turn signals look like. So there's the rear turn signal. As you can see, it's nice and it's far away from the luggage. A lot of times those big duffels that go in the back will hang over your brake light and tail light and get you rear-ended, which is not fun. And then there's that sick-ass turn signal right there. Really cool. With that JD jetting tuner, you can just smell in the exhaust the thing is running a lot cleaner. You know, it's not, when it's factory, it has this kind of hot smell to it that you can tell it's definitely running lean. So it's nice to smell the bike running like a 4-stroke should. So yeah, you can see there that there's the high beam indicator right there on the factory dash. All that still works. The bike idles great, runs great, thanks to the power commander. It starts up way easier now. You can check out that video that we put together about those performance upgrades. Okay, because the bike's got the Nomad Rally Tower on it too, I've created some custom tools to kind of keep with the bike's toolkit. This is a like a shortened little wrench that helps get this rally fairing off. You have to tuck this little wrench inside there to get to it. So this way you can pull the rally fairing off on the trail if you need to. Same goes for this little ratcheting right-angled Torx driver set. All right, so there's this whole set of Torxes in here that you can use to pull all these different bolts off of the rally fairing if you need to. It's also, the bike's got a couple extra clutch levers with it, an extra bag of bolts, extra couple tubes, and some other things. All right, thank you for tuning in, and I hope you enjoyed the tour and ride of this 500EXC ultralight adventure bike. We will be building more in the future. Reach out and ask us if you have any questions, and keep your eyes open, subscribe and all like that, and we'll keep making videos of building these awesome bikes. Take care and enjoy the ride. Be safe out there.